My name is Tyler Hoppe. I am the company controller at HBS Painting. We're a family-owned and operating painting contractor located in Southern California. I am third generation in our family to be a part of our family business. I'm currently in the controller position, which it wears a large hat. We cover a lot of different things. I do everything from receivables and payables to playing some HR to doing some time collections. Right now at HBS Painting, we have about 46 guys out in the field. We're in the state of California. We do keep it under 50 intentionally for some legal purposes. We fluctuate anywhere from about 40 to 50 on any given time, but right now we're at about 46 employees, 42 in the field, couple guys in the shop and a couple office people, but about 40 remote workers off-site that we do not see daily, that we need to communicate, collect data with, who are out in the field anywhere from 15 miles away from our office to 250 miles away from our office. So we're not nationwide, but we can be in Northern California, or we can be in Vegas, or we can be, 200 plus miles away. So being a primarily field-based service operations company, one of the most difficult aspects we have both as employers and our responsibility to our customers is to make sure that the data we're receiving back from the field and then in turn billing them for is accurate data. Sometimes that can be intentional time theft, if you will, but more often than not, it's less than that. It's minor things. It's what task we were doing. It's we stayed a few minutes late this day because we had to get here a few minutes late for the housekeeper. Different odds and ends that come up throughout a project. If you're on a project, we do quite a bit of maintenance work on people's residences. So this isn't as though it's just a commercial property or a mall. This is people's homes that we attend, and they're usually there with us. But one of our biggest difficulties in today's world is it's a data-driven world out there. People want to know, what am I being billed for and when did these services get executed? And that's a fair request. And having 40 to 45 guys moving around on anywhere from 7 to 15 different concurrent projects at any given time, keeping all that information is organized can be very challenging. Like I said, oftentimes there's some mix-ups, not intentional mix-ups, not due to trying to be deceptive, but you just make an error. Having a system in place that you're getting good data out of the field that you can trust is imperative in today's world, because we're sending out invoices weekly, trying to run payroll weekly, trying to organize all that information, and you are getting these calls that you're expected to on the fly be able to justify what it is you're invoicing or what services you claim you rendered for that client. So our main issue is data collection. Time included, but task-oriented, photo-oriented, other reasons as well. But just extracting data from the field is a very challenging task in 2022. Most service providers, at least in my segment of the industry, the technicians got into that industry because they don't want to do data. They don't want to have a pen and paper. They're not trying to write reports and do all this kind of stuff at the end of the day. Obviously, as employees, they'll participate, but it needs to be a streamlined process that they can get through on a daily basis, and that's what WorkMax provides for us. We've been probably with 10 different time collection services, not all of them being digital. Going back 25 years, my father was doing the red and the green, touch the magnet on what looked like a big lock on the job site, if you will. So we've been data-driven for pretty much the entirety of our company. But I say that to say that we were with T-Sheets for quite a bit of time. I'm sure people are familiar with T-Sheets. They are now owned by Intuit. They did not have any sort of Spanish alternative. It was all one language, English only. The fact that WorkMax has their app that you can tailor on a per individual employee basis, it's on a company-wide setting. I have several young guys who are, they are Spanish, but they prefer English at this point. Whereas I have some of my old-time crew, they heavily prefer Spanish, and some of them can't even understand English. The fact that WorkMax gives us the ability to literally toggle an employee on single click saying, hey, I think I'd rather go back to English. That's super helpful for us because I don't want to harp on employees ever, but sometimes employees are looking for an out. They're looking for that reason. Oh, I can't do it because, again, not to bring up old providers here, but passwords were extremely prohibitive for guys in the field. They're not data-driven individuals. So language barriers, password barriers, constant updates within the app, that if my guys weren't updating their app weekly, then the app would stop working. There's quite a few barriers that are unforeseen as you're deploying something like this, that you think, oh, it's really simple. I'm sitting in the office and I ran through it, and what could go wrong? Well, then we get out in the field and we either have no cell signal, or maybe the user doesn't speak English, like we just referenced. There's all these unforeseen obstacles that come up along the way. WorkMax has been in this game a long time. This is their core competency. They're not trying to do 15 different things at once and do all of them very mediocre. They know time collection very, very well. They've clearly been through a lot of these issues with other customers over the years, and they've addressed them. Things like PIN logins, not needing a password. These are the things that are extremely helpful. The ability to switch the app from English to Spanish is one of those huge wins for us. One of the most unique aspects of WorkMax that I have not seen with other carriers is the facial recognition. That's huge for us. Geofencing, very, very helpful. Again, sometimes clients can just have maybe a lapse in memory and say, hey, I got home from golf last Wednesday afternoon at 2 and the guys were gone. And are you sure? Because I'm getting a bill here. Not necessarily an accusation of theft, but more of just a question. That geofencing that you can just say, hey, here's an outside provider, an unbiased provider. The guys were at your property or within your property, or within 100 yards of your property, clocking out at 3:30. Then when you add the photo on top of it, it creates a pretty solid substantiated backup of, no, we were where we said we were. The facial recognition takes it to that next level, because you can't clock your buddy in from that aspect. So again, I never want to say that employees are, I don't want to use the word cheating, but every once in a while we can be 15 minutes late, having an off morning, and get a little tempted to say, hey, John, I'm running behind. Here's my PIN. Can you just log me in? Well, with facial recognition, that becomes an impossibility. So when you combine the geofencing with the facial recognition, you have a rock solid system, and that's what WorkMax offers. I would say the most attractive aspect to it is definitely the PIN login system. We're all familiar with the simple login system before our iPhones or our Android phones unlocked based off our finger or our face. We've all used that simple numeric login. That is solid. Passwords, usernames are very intimidating for my workforce. Having a simple password that I can match to their iPhone or their birthday, that removed a lot of it immediately. That was one of the biggest issues I was having with previous providers. But I also will say the customization within your user profile to make it as detailed as you may need or as simple as you may need is super attractive for me. I was with a built-in with my accounting software. They had a built-in time collection system. When I moved over to that platform, I temporarily used that time collection system. I wanted to give them an opportunity. It was very robust. Sitting in front of a desktop with a browser and me being a computer user on the daily, it didn't seem that difficult. But there was clock in, review, submit, run the report, submit it. At the end of the week, you had to build your time card. You had to submit that. Again, nothing ridiculous. I don't want to be unfair here, but again, guys in the field are not looking to have 14 buttons. We're not looking to have this complicated process where we're reviewing and we're submitting. All I'm really trying to capture, clock in, clock out. WorkMax was able to curtail it to that. I had a few specific requests I wanted, some auto lunch breaks, some rules on start and stop times. They made all that happen for me on the initial launch and the account setup. None of that was left up to me, but every little request I had was very easily implemented. But one of my big requests was, can we keep it simple? I don't need it to have 14 different steps. I don't need on clock out for my guys to answer 9 different questions. Now, some companies may. Some companies could be union-based or have other requirements in their state. They want to have these questions. The forms aspect of WorkMax is fantastic. You can have questions where you ask them, and then based off the answer provided, they get a different question based off how they went. All of that stuff is amazing, but I definitely would say the ability to make it as robust or non-robust based off your company's user preferences is super attractive for me. Because like I say, being with a carrier that requires you to have all the robust steps can be prohibitive for guys who are not looking to do that. I would say the main challenges we've overcame or that we've experienced and are working through overcoming currently is user error. I do have a few guys, I'm going to say 55 plus, but the three that are sticking in my head are 62 plus. They're struggling a little bit. They're making some simple mistakes. I'm requiring a task entry. A few of those small things are missing. More or less, WorkMax has a pretty, I don't want to call it dummy proof because that's kind of an unnice thing to say. Error proofed, I'll say, but it's dummy proof, to be honest with you. You really can't screw it up. If you're really putting an effort in and you're trying to get yourself clocked in and you're doing some basic reading of a message that may pop up, like if you forget to put your task code in on clock in, really simple message pops up and says, pick a task. Not long, complicated error messages, not error 404 or something that you have to be a tech to understand. It's just really simple. As long as you make an effort at it, there's nothing prohibiting you from using the system. The cloud visibility aspect for us is imperative. At times, we run about 45 guys, multiple different projects. Being painting contractors, we do, like I know a lot of fellow service providers and contractors, you work based off the trade in front of you. So there's times you're scheduled to be there on Wednesday to get going on the priming, but unfortunately the drywall guy didn't get finished up the day before. You have to make these adjustments on the fly as a contractor. You have to figure out, okay, where is this employee? What's the next closest job I can send them to? What's convenient? WorkMax helps with that. It gives you a live visual map you can look at. You can, run in multiple different guys on different crews. Sometimes you forget, hey, where is so-and-so assigned? I think he's over at the Johnson project. Oh no, a different supervisor moved him off that project. Having the ability to look in WorkMax and just see who's clocked in, who's not clocked in, what projects are they clocked into, where were they when they clocked in? Again, getting that call at 7:04 on Monday morning. Hey, where's my superintendent? He's not on the project. Shoot, let me look. When in the old days, you're picking up your phone and you're calling him. Likely when a guy's late to work on Monday morning, he's probably not picking that call up. He wants to get on the project and have some good news for you before he answers that call. But as we know, you want to hear, hey, I'm at the gate, I'm 5 minutes away, so I can relay that information. WorkMax gives me that. I can literally look at it. I don't need to call him. I can jump on there, see, oh, yep, we have a long line at the gate, call the client back or the GC or whoever and say, I can see him. Here's where he's at. Within 5 minutes, he should be there. That live ability to have that data and see who's where are they at, what are they doing is imperative for us. Currently, we've kept it relatively simple. We've integrated it with our accounting system, which is Foundation software. The import-export process is very streamlined, not complicated at all. I know APIs are coming, and hopefully that becomes more streamlined, but you don't have to be an IT admin to do it. I know imports and exports can be a little daunting or a little overwhelming for some people. If you work with your trainer, you get all your templates set up, it's a matter of a few clicks. It rolls right in. To be honest with you, WorkMax imported into our software better than the native time that Foundation built. It gives the capability to do different pay types. I mean, any way you want to customize it. When that time, I'm only 3 weeks in, I made a few adjustments on my initial week. I tweaked those in my template. I haven't had to touch it the last 2 weeks. I know the data that's coming out of WorkMax. Once it's been reviewed and closed, it's solid. It rolls right into Foundation without issue. I'll be honest, I'm a straight shooter. One of the only things that was a little prohibitive for me was WorkMax is financially a bit more expensive than some of the competition. Now, I do understand that in the world, you get what you pay for. So I'm not opposed to things that are a little bit more expensive just because I'm trying to be as cheap as I possibly can. I would really encourage anyone that's struggling with either a financial barrier, potentially a technology barrier. Am I actually going to get this thing implemented? Am I actually going to use it? WorkMax is a real deal. When they tell you they're going to onboard you, when they tell you they're going to work through the process with you, when they tell you they can custom cater it, any different accounting software you need, any import file you may need, if it's a text or whatever format you may need. From my experience, they were able to do it really quickly. Oftentimes, I joke, and as a small business owner, I say I'm a fireman, and I'm putting out whatever fire is on my desk today. And I may have intentions to do 15 other things, but the fire in front of me is what gets addressed. Don't let the smolder of time collection smolder in the background, because I think that smolder is costing us a lot more than we realize, both in customer trustworthiness, minutes here and there. When you got a crew of 40, 50, 100 guys, 6 minutes in the morning and 4 in the afternoon, that stuff adds up. And I think at times it's easy to just kind of ignore it. It's not one of those things that may be glaring at us in the face of we got to do this or else. And it gets really easy to kind of say, our current system's fine. It works. It may work, but you can drastically improve your operations. You can drastically improve. I think it's already even improving some trustworthy or some trust between our employees and us, where we're saying, hey, this is your protection. You don't ever have to hear that. Well, John was the superintendent. He was doing the time and he put me down for 3:30 and I worked till 4:30. Good news. You never have to worry about that again. As long as you're clocking in and out, you're covered. So it brings more benefits, more advantages, time savings, money savings. I think both in volume more than you expect, and I think it solves problems you may not even realize. That trusting of the employee to the employer. It obviously, perspective is important. If we have a negative perspective and it's, this is Big Brother watching me. Well, if that's what you're cemented in, then you can have that perspective. But if your employee can be open-minded and you can teach them some of that stuff of, hey, overtime. If you're doing, there's been times overtime starts after 8 hours. There's been times guys maybe take Friday off, but they worked 9s Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but they weren't clear on that. And they didn't get the overtime for that last hour of the day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, because they didn't go over their 40. In the state of California, it's either over 8 per day or over 40 per week. That fixes that. I tell them, hey, that protects you. That makes sure you get the overtime you're entitled to. Even if it's a half an hour on Monday, you're getting your overtime. So there's other advantages that it brings that you may not even be aware of. So I would just really encourage anyone who's on the fence, don't let the financial aspect of it slow you down. I've used some of the cheaper alternatives. They're cheaper for a reason. I'm not trying to trash them, but they are cheaper for a reason. You are not getting the tech support you're getting with WorkMax. You're not getting the customization. You're not getting the onboarding process. These are big things. When you don't get onboarded correctly and the software doesn't work correctly, your user experience is not going to be a positive one. These are the things that I think people overlook. They try and save a little bit on onboarding or training or whatever, and it negatively affects their experience. You can tell WorkMax has the system developed the way they have it developed because it's a proven winner. And when you follow the steps they have set up for you, all you have to do is be willing to show up. If you have an open mind, you're willing to show up, do what they ask you to do, and you're willing to get it deployed in your field. I would say the most difficult part is getting your employees to use it. We all have different types of crews and different types of individuals working for us. For me, that's the biggest challenge, but technologically, not complicated at all. Very streamlined. I think we did a few hours of training, done, up and running. So don't be, to wrap that up, don't be afraid of financial aspect. Don't be afraid of technology aspect. Don't be intimidated by it. It's less than you may think, and the rewards it brings you are substantial.